with another Molly's Mind. I'm here with none other than herself, Molly. We are in quarantine. We are getting through the coronavirus just like everybody else. And with all this extra time, we thought we'd do a Molly's Mind and brighten up everybody's day a little bit. People are at home finding things to do, Netflix, picking up a new hobby, watching stuff on YouTube. So what better time to do a Molly's Mind than right now? And our topic, coincidentally enough, is something that relates to coronavirus, but also just the bigger conversation of hoarding. So we've recently seen in the news, people are buying up all the toilet paper, all the paper towels, hand sanitizer, soap are always the first things to go at the supermarket. So with that being said, we're watching our daughter cry as we record right now, so it will be a little tough.
Yeah, we might have to bring her in here. I'm gonna grab her. So we're back with Scotty. She's gonna join us for this one.
So as I was saying, people are buying up all of the basic essentials that people need. The conversation has begun, are people buying too many things? They're reselling it on eBay or Amazon. Amazon and eBay have done a good job of sort of monitoring that stuff so people aren't price gouging all of those products. The stores now are starting to put a limit on how many things people buy. So you're seeing signs that says one or two per customer. They're now starting to open it up early for the elderly people potentially to go in there and shop before younger people who aren't as afraid as the virus. But before we get into the coronavirus, Molly has always questioned me because I have been notorious for hoarding onto a lot of shirts that I have. I have a lot of t-shirts in my closet. I always defend myself by saying I never know when I'm gonna need one of those shirts. So to open the floor to you, Molly, because this is your show, what are your thoughts surrounding hoarding? And just, everything around that.
So should I start with coronavirus hoarding? Non-coronavirus hoarding. So I don't want to throw any of my family under the bus, but that might happen a little bit when I give my response to this. So I grew up in a family, there's seven kids in my family, had to think about that, and my parents, and it just always felt super cluttered because there was a lot of people in our house, but our garage had just tons of stuff. But even now you can see with our garage, with just our small
basement.
family, no, but even just our garage with Nix's car,
a
bike, or this or that. And now our basement, because our basement is my sister who lives in China brings stuff here, my mom lives here, we have all this extra stuff in our basement, and it very quickly goes from you have just a small collections of things when we lived in our 2-bedroom apartment to now we have a house. It's you have more stuff, you get rid of less stuff. I don't ever want to be in the position where we have so much stuff we need to now go get a storage unit for our stuff. We have a house. If we can't fit things in our house, then we shouldn't have those things. So I'm also a big believer in donating stuff that we're not using. So I very regularly go through my clothes and donate them. If I'm not wearing them, they don't fit, things change, or I'll get rid of them if they get a hole in them, whatever, all of that stuff. But then just general things that we're not using, I just feel we shouldn't hold on to things. We should get rid of them. What I will hold on to, and I've said this in a Molly's Mind before, is I've saved every card.
Yep.
But that's I have a shoebox of cards. It's not I have boxes and boxes of it. And pictures. I print pictures. I love physical pictures. But I'm also someone who will do scrapbooking and things like that with them. I just love looking through them. But other than that, I don't really think we should hold on to things because you get into this habit of just just put it down in the basement. And then your basement gets so cluttered. And then as people get older, if somebody passes away, then somebody has to go through all their stuff. Somebody has to figure out, okay, now what do we do with all that stuff? I think it's great to keep some things. I love that my mom kept the onesie I came home from in the hospital. I just put it on Scotty the other day. Or things here and there. So for each of the girls, I have a box. And if anything doesn't fit in that box, we're not keeping it for them. I just feel there's so much emphasis on materialistic things, but it all just ends up in your basement or in storage, and there's no need for it. So
yeah, I think as people, I think generally we're like minimalist. Like we don't necessarily. I think we can.
We are not minimalists.
I think if you go back to like Adam and Eve and like just basic, like, I don't know, cavemen, they needed the bare minimums to get by. They had like probably a sword or like something to slice down food, and they just went through the forest and they chopped down what they needed and they got by. I think now we have, like, once you have a lot of space, you sort of tend to feel like you have to fill that whole space. And if you don't, you feel like you're not taking advantage of maybe the space that you bought. So like you buy a house and a room, you can't just put one chair in there. You feel like you got to put shelves up, you got to put couches, and you have to make it look full. If you have a fridge, you want it to be full, you know. But the reason I say that we're minimalist is because, like, for myself personally, when we go on vacation,
wait, but you think we're like you and I are
no,
minimalist?
just people in general.
Oh.
Because when we go on vacation, I'll always pack like the world. My luggage would be packed to the brim of like underwear and shirts and different pants and socks, and I try to fit in different shoes to wear. But ultimately, when we go on our trip, I'll always just end up wearing like sweatpants and a white t-shirt, or like wearing one outfit. So like ultimately, I think we can all get by on just having nothing, but like because we have all this space, and for people out there, if they have a house with a garage, they want to fill it up, because I feel like we have this mentality just like, you never know and you might need something, but in reality, you don't really need it.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, we don't need anything. We need food and water and things to live by, you know, essentials to survive. Everything else is just extra. I completely 100% disagree with you that we are minimalists or that people in general are minimalists. We live in like a society where, look at Amazon. Half the things people buy on Amazon that we buy on Amazon, we don't need those to survive. Like, we by no means are minimalists. And I think in general, neither are people. Look at like holiday time. All those things people are buying, they're not minimalists.
I'm not saying that we are. I'm saying that like
we could be.
We could be, and I think
people could be, but they're not.
Yeah, and I think we're also like trained, whether it's commercials or like society in general, telling us that we need to put all this crap around our house for Halloween and Christmas time, and all that shit adds up in your basement, in your garage. When like, I know it's Christmas time. I don't need to see your front yard have mad shit on it to like.
Well, that's the society we live in. That's advertising, that's marketing, that's all of that stuff, like telling people you need that.
But that mindset contributes to every other aspect of life outside of holidays.
Yes,
so when
but I just want to back up on the point you said about having an empty room with just a chair in it. Yes, you could buy a house, and if you don't have people to live in those rooms, you could just have a chair. But it feels lonely, it feels empty. So like, adding things in your house, I'm not like a home decorator. I don't buy just like, oh, this throw pillow is going to match the decor. That is not like how I live at all. But I love, you know, we just added pictures downstairs, and having some picture frame, it makes it feel homey and more livable and not so cold and distant. Like if you go into somebody's house that feels like there's just one chair, it doesn't feel like anyone lives there.
But to your point,
spend most of your time at your home. So whatever's going to make you feel comfortable in your home, whether you're someone who loves to decorate for all the different seasons, or you're someone who loves to have pictures on the wall, if that's what you feel most comfortable in your home, then you should do that. But there's a difference between feeling comfortable in your home and decorating and filling a room and hoarding. Like hoarding everything, every t-shirt you've ever bought. I could show you guys a picture of Corin's closet. Maybe
that'll be the cover photo to this
and stacks and stacks and stacks of t-shirts.
But here, where you feel comfortable holding on to cards and like those memories, that's where I get my comfortability of keeping t-shirts, and like, and that's where the question arises of like, when do you get rid of something, and when do you decide that like you don't need that anymore? So like toys for our daughter, she's outgrown some of her toys, so we started to put some in the basement, and maybe next is like donating those toys. But it's like, when do I outgrow a shirt that I have a memory tied to from like a couple of years back?
I think having just shirts as your one thing, fine. But it's like when it turns into shirts and this and that and everything, and then you now need to take those shirts and put them in storage. And when something goes into storage, like we have storage units, my family, from when I was a kid, that no one's been in there in years. At that point, or like my dad will say, oh, you have stuff, go through. I have no idea. I have lived in this house almost 4 years. We've lived in Illinois. Or how long have we lived in this house?
5 years?
No,
in this house, 3 years?
I don't know. No, we've lived in this house almost 4 years.
Okay.
Because right after we got married. And so we lived in Illinois over 5 years. At that point, like, I haven't lived at my parents' house since I was 17. If you have something in mind, I don't even know what it is. Don't even show me. I don't need it. Like, having the mentality of, like, oh, I need to go look because maybe I need something. You've definitely replaced whatever it is. Sometimes there's sentimental things you might want, but I don't know. Yes, the t-shirt's fine, but if it's every aspect of your life, that's when you become a hoarder and, like, your life just gets so cluttered. Like, I feel like you just have a clearer head when the spaces around you, whether that's your house, and I do feel like our house is starting to fill up, and that's why the other day we went through toys and we brought some downstairs, but it's pointless to get rid of them at this point because Scotty's going to play with those toys. But when you get to the point, like, this is what I do with my clothes, is I go through them a couple times a year. If it fits, I've obviously had 2 kids within the last 2 years, so I do not have the same body shape. I don't fit a lot of clothes. I would love to, like, get back in shape. So there's some things I'm holding on to because I might fit them again. But there's other things that, like, it's just not my style anymore. Like neon pink pants that I wore when I was, like, 21. I'm not going to wear those anymore. So I'm going to donate them. So I, like, put things aside that if I'm not wearing them right now because they don't fit me, I'll put them in a pile that if this fits me again, I'll wear it. And then I have things that I'm like, forget it. But then the next time I come around, if I still haven't worn that maybe pile, then I consider donating it. So it's like you look at it and you say, okay, your shirts that you have 2XL from when you were in high school and you were in a phase of baggy clothes.
I don't have too many more of those.
You know what I mean? Though you did start giving some of those away. Yeah. But the ones that are like super small or like, obviously your sports stuff, you would keep those because you might go to a game. But there's just ones that you are keeping that you're never going to wear again. You know what I mean? It's like make them in piles. And that goes for not just t-shirts, but anything. And it's really easy to become a hoarder of things. And when I think of a hoarder, it doesn't just need to be someone who's on the hoarder show. You can be a hoarder and not have things toppling in every pocket of your house, but... Well,
it's just like a landslide because it adds up over time, but it happens so quickly that it takes time to go through everything. And now I think we have time, like, you'll see a lot of videos of people right now going through their house and organizing things and getting rid of a lot of stuff because they have the time to do it.
Yep.
So I think it's a matter of finding the time to go through all the stuff that you've collected over the years. I mean, you get gifts from people and it collects up so fast that you look back and you're like, when did we get all this shit? And like, why do we have all this shit? That like going through everything is tough because then, I don't know. I mean, memories are like a tough thing and like it's tied to a lot of the things that people have. And that's why But I personally think like when we go through the neighborhood and people have their garages open all the time, I mean, whether it's organized or not, everyone has tons of stuff in their garage, and like if you were to ask them, they probably use maybe 1 or 2 things from that garage. And it's just a matter of like, so we used to have the Jeep Wrangler. We have a top for it. It takes up a lot of space in our basement.
If anybody wants a Wrangler soft top, let us know.
But like, it's like,
want to get rid of
it's tough to find someone to buy that or put it on the marketplace.
No, it's not tough. We just need to do it. We just are being lazy. If we put that on the marketplace or we did, whatever, we could donate it to the car dealership. Right now it's just taking space in our basement. We hold her.
It's also like these websites like Amazon and Target, they make everything so easy. And so I would say that you have become a hoarder of buying things off Amazon.
No, I'm not a hoarder of it. It's things I use. Like, the things I'm buying, it's not things that just, like, sit there. I use them all. But I am, even before this quarantine, like, I was barely, because I just had a baby, leaving the house. Like, I do most of my shopping online. Like, I don't even know the last time I went to the grocery store. Since January, I've probably gone to the grocery store 2 times. Like, I don't go to the store. I just buy it online, or I will get the groceries delivered, which is like, I was just doing that because I didn't want to leave the house with the baby because it was flu season. That was before coronavirus. Now that it's coronavirus season, I am not leaving the house either, but I would just say, you're right. Amazon and Target, they make it so easy that you don't have to leave your house at all. And like with Target, I'll do Target drive up, whatever. But that doesn't make me a hoarder of things. I buy everything through them, whether that's toothpaste, like shampoo. I buy it all so I don't have to go to the store. So it's not just like I'm on Amazon buying like toys. I'm buying like everyday life things on those sites. So I mean, we get a package all the time, but it might be a drink, it might be, you know, deodorant. So I don't know, I don't think that makes me a hoarder because I buy my groceries and everyday essentials off the internet.
Okay, so Scotty's down for a nap now, but we have a ticking time bomb that can go off at any minute. So cooler heads have prevailed. But that being said, so I will ask you, what can people do to, I guess, prevent hoarding, clean up their hoarding? Should people be hoarding?
Are we talking coronavirus or
non-coronavirus?
Okay. No, to each their own. If you want to hoard, but like for me personally, I'm not a minimalist, so like I have a lot of stuff, I buy a lot of stuff, but in general I try not to keep a lot of stuff. So if I'm not using anymore, I like to go through things and get rid of it every so often. Like now is a really good time when everybody's home. I would love to go through like my bathroom closet and get rid of all the products I don't use anymore and just like clear out spaces. I just feel so much better when things are clear.
But I would also just say to that point really quickly, like hoarding necessarily could mean a different thing to everybody. Like there's people that thrive in that chaos and like disorganization. So like
their own.
Yeah, so hoarding might not necessarily like be even a thing to some people.
Yeah.
Like to hoarding to you might just mean like there's things everywhere and it's
Do
like
I think we're hoarders? No. I think if you watch the hoarding, I think there's a lot of different levels. I think every person who is a genuine hoarder starts off somewhere.
Yeah.
You don't just get that stuff somehow.
Well, I mean,
So
like everybody
have
has hobbies, and like a hobby can be considered hoarding. Like my stepfather has a coin collection, and in his closet there's all these coins.
But that's why I said to you, like, if t-shirts is your thing, okay, great. But it's when every single aspect of your life turns into like you're holding on to everything. They're just materialistic things. So there's various levels. I don't think we're hoarders, but I think everybody starts somewhere. And I think your basement, your garage, those are places that can very easily turn into, doesn't make you necessarily a hoarder, but those turn into, oh, just put it in the basement, just put it in the back room, just put it there. And I just want to prevent that. So we just go through it.
The best route to go, like Molly said, is if you're not with your significant other or you're not with a family member and there's a whole bunch of shit, donate it, get rid of it. And like without them even knowing. It sounds messed up. But like my grandmother sent me like an old Mickey Mouse thing that she had from her, like she has this little back play place of her apartment. And she sent us a whole bunch of stuff because she's older now, so she wants to start spreading things out to the family. And Molly's mom had a garbage bag of stuff that she was getting rid of. And I saw that Mickey Mouse in there. And Molly's mom said that Molly just wanted to get rid of it. So don't let your spouse or whoever find out that you are getting rid of their things, because then they will in turn
end up keeping it?
Yeah, it is still downstairs.
Because that's like, how things end up. We keep a lot of the stuff your grandmother sends, but some that Nix can't play with because either they're too old or they're dangerous.
She's also very smart, my grandmother, because she feels like this is her way of getting rid of her hoarding, is to sending it to other people and making it their problem. So for me, in my good conscience, I'm like, she had memories with that. It's super old. Maybe it's worth something. My first mindset is like, this could be worth something a lot.
It's all materialistic things. Like they're not things we need in this life to survive. Like that one thing isn't going to help us keep that memory of her. You know what I mean? So like if it's something that's dangerous, it's too old, anything like that, I don't see a point in keeping it. We keep a lot of the stuff she sends. But some things, you don't need to just hold on to something.
What about the monetary value? Like, what if one day they say the 1967 Mickey Mouse doll is now the hottest thing on the market?
Every single thing. That's like people with their Beanie Babies and Mickey Mouse toys. And
Tickle Me
again, if you have one collection of things, great, good for you. I'm happy for you. But that's just not
people
my,
have,
okay.
your uncle's into Star Wars. People have
Yes.
collections of all these things. That, like, causes a lot of space to be taken up.
Okay, that's fine. If that's what makes them happy, that's what I said before. This is just my personal view. If that makes you happy, you have your bobblehead collection, great. But it's when every single thing, oh, I have this sneaker box from 1970, I'm going to keep it, and then I'm going to keep this one, I'm going to keep this one. And then you don't have place to put these things. There's no reason to hold on to all these different things.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I did coaching.
Reason.
I did basketball coaching for a while, and I would just have a lot of notes, like, written down on papers like this, and it'd be plays, and Molly would always be like, can I throw this away? And I'm like, don't. And it's like, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, what if I started coaching again, and I need a play? But it's like, if you start coaching again, everything's always changing. So you're going online, you're finding new plays. That stuff is probably outdated. Like, everything, like you said, can be replaced. So, like, you know, in times of drastic things, like we've had friends who've had fires to their apartments, and, like, you know, obviously it's terrible because they've lost a lot of their things, but it's made them realize, you know, they've spoken about it, that they don't need all those things. So yes, you're right. Yeah. I think it's just for us and a lot of people, it's going through all those items and, like, just finally getting rid of it. Yeah. And in turn, once you do all that stuff, you realize, like, you feel so much better. You feel so free. You're like, oh my God, look, we can walk into our garage. Right. We can park 2 cars in here without the doors opening up. So, like, yes, it's important to get to, I would say maybe do like every 4 months or something, clear through all your stuff.
Once every season, you just kind of go through things and you clear out things. And to that point of, like, our friends who've had fires, like my parents have been through a fire before, I think you lose the things. And for me, if we had a fire, it would be the pictures. But thankfully, everything's online now, so that's great. But I have pictures, like, from when I was a kid, all that stuff. But one of the things that, like,
I stopped, Jordans, I'd be pretty pissed.
I stopped doing my YouTube channel, but, like, we made a video that we didn't put online of the whole day of when we had Scotty, and we have footage of that, and we're not going to put that on Corin's channel or anything. But I'm so happy we have that to look back on. And now I was saying to Corin the other day, like, should I start back up my channel? And I decided that even if I don't put it online, I don't know, I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet, but I want to make more videos of, like, our kids growing up, because to me that's what's important for us to look back on. We recently just watched a lot of your home videos, and it's great to be able to see, like, your siblings, your family, and all of those memories versus the actual things like a t-shirt or a Mickey Mouse doll. Wouldn't you rather see your grandma when you were a kid interacting with you and have that versus a Mickey Mouse doll?
And it makes you appreciate the outfits even more. So, like, her mom kept the outfit when she was born, whereas, like, if she kept every outfit for that week, you'd just be like, great, this is too much, right? You know, so, like, you appreciate when there's less of something, right? That, like, and that happens in the sports world too.
Our time is dwindling down,
but that it happens in the sports world too. It's like items become more rare when there's less of them, and you appreciate those items even more. So, like, find the things that are that unique and that special, and hold on to those things, and not everything,
like a handful of things.
So that's hoarding in general. Now let's hop over to what everyone's suffering from right now, because people are going to grocery stores, not being able to buy certain items, going online, not being able to get certain things, is hoarding with toilet paper and paper towels and hand sanitizer. I know personally, I've watched a lot of these shows on TLC and whatever other channels have these, of, like, people back in the day who have these cupboards of, like, everything, you know, and, like, you'd laugh at them and joke of them. I find it a little excessive, but now, you know, all these people kind of are looking smart, but then also, like, it's like they're not going to even be able to use all those items right now anyway. So there's people out there that need them that aren't able to get them because these people have so many of it. So what are your thoughts on that whole situation of people, like, overbuying items?
So I have mixed feelings on it. I think there are people out there who are generally trying to make money off of the crisis, that are, you know, buying small things of Purell and selling it for $50, or buying, you know, the jumbo rolls, and they're like, there was one couple that spent $70,000 on toilet paper just to resell it at a higher price. Those people are sick, and it's so messed up. Yeah. But then I see all over social media, people are, like, taking pictures of the shelves, and they're like, people are so greedy. People this. But at the same time, if you really sit down and think about it, if everybody goes to the grocery store on the same day, which doesn't normally happen, like we go to the grocery store multiple times a week, and then there's all these news reports like, stay inside for 2 weeks, only go out if you have to. Everybody's going to go out and buy food for 2 weeks. That does not make you greedy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't think you're greedy for getting food for your family. Of course the shelves are going to be empty because normally people don't all go to the grocery store on the same day and we're not all trying to stock up for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm like getting very passionate about this because it is annoying me that everybody's taking pictures of the shelves and they're like, leave some for others. You're so greedy. That doesn't make anybody greedy for just wanting to have food for your family. The people who are greedy in my mind are those who are, I read about this one woman who went to the store and bought 40 cans of formula. That's so messed up because if you buy all of the formula, what about the babies who don't have any formula? Like that's a real thing. Like there's a lot about not being able to get things to feed babies or to diaper or wipe your babies, but people who are just buying just to feed their family for the week or for 2 weeks, or someone who has a family of 7 kids, or, some people have a lot of kids, they have to buy more food. That does not make them greedy for going to the store and buying. And I think the issue is with all the different things that are coming out at this point, some states are on, like California, they can only leave if they're going out for medication, doctor's appointment, or food. They can't leave, or if they're working in a place that has to still be open, they can't leave, and that's going to be everywhere. So of course you need to buy food. So of course the shelves are going to be empty. That doesn't make people greedy in my mind. I think having a supply of food so you don't have to go out, so we can limit the people going out, I think that's important. But at the same time, this is crazy to me, is I'm trying to buy a deep freezer. I'm trying to buy another deep freezer to store breast milk. And I would have done this anyways. I did it after Nick's, and I didn't even think this was going to be an issue, but I cannot get a deep freezer anywhere. Lowe's, Home Depot, Target, Sam's Club, Costco, all of them are sold out. And so I'm pretty sure the reason the deep freezers are sold out is because people are buying deep freezers so they can buy more food, so they can freeze more food. Whereas I want to buy a deep freezer for a different reason, so I can store milk for our child. Yeah, but to your
point, you can't start to realize, like, you can't start to think about what people are using it for. Obviously.
What else would people be using it for?
People, I think the media puts fear in us, and like just talking to people puts fear in us. So like our freezer on our refrigerator isn't going to hold enough, frozen pizzas for 2 weeks. So like everyone's going out and buying a deep freezer. I don't think people are buying a deep freezer to keep you from having a deep freezer.
No, I don't think anybody's out there greedy, like, let me go buy up all the deep freezers to I'm just saying the fact that I can't get a deep freezer just goes to show that people are stocking up because of this fear, and they don't have a place to put the food. But it's just like another impact for us, how if I don't have any place to put the milk, I'm gonna have to dump it out, or maybe I could donate it, but I'm just saying it's another like kind of implication of what's happening, of something that I never thought I wouldn't be able to get. Like, it's so random. I went to go buy a deep freezer and I can't get a deep freezer. Like,
well, this happens in all, epidemics and stuff like that, is like, you don't know when something's going to run out. I said to you, I was like, we have a half a tank of gas, that's probably good. But like during these hurricanes and all these crazy, disasters, one day you can get gas, the next day you can't. Like, who knows what the next item who would have thought that hand sanitizer would have been the hottest item, and now you can't find it. But I don't think this will ever, it's not really in the store's advantage to put a limit on items, because they're a business too, and they're worried that it might not sell out. So but you have started to see Target and Walmart put a limit on items. No, I think it's
good to have a limit.
I think so
you're
too.
Preventing the woman from buying 40 cans of formula, or the person who spent $70,000 on toilet paper. But I think the problem is everybody went out at the same time to buy these things. So of course they're going to sell out. But the other issue is with toilet paper, no one knows why the toilet paper thing went crazy, but you don't know when it's going to be in stock again. So if you see it, it's human nature to be like, I see toilet paper, let me get a few, because I don't know when I'm going to see this again.
And it's just a fad too.
And
everyone
the toilet
just wants
paper
to follow
isn't
along.
as serious as for us, and I mentioned this on our live stream, is like milk. Like toddlers, Nix is not in the age where she needs formula anymore or breast milk. But she needs dairy in her diet. So when you go to the store and you don't see milk, then when you do see milk, you're like, oh, let me get like 2 gallons. We didn't do that, but I'm just saying, you have the urge because you're like, my kid needs this, or my whoever needs this, or I need this. So you have that urge to want to buy more. But, and I personally don't think people who are just trying to get enough food to feed their family for a week or two are greedy. I don't think that's greed. I think everybody going out who might not do their shopping regularly like that just causes everything to go out of stock. That's not greed. That's people wanting to survive because it's so uncertain what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's just my thought. It was reassuring to me that we heard from our governor in Illinois that they're not going to be closing grocery stores because there's been rumors that we're going to be on like a full lockdown.
Yeah, I think New York just went on full lockdown, but there's still essential stuff like grocery stores and pharmacies that will stay open.
And then the governor said, so no need to hoard, no need to stock up on things, because if we know that the grocery stores are going to continue to stay open, then we don't need to buy 7 months worth of food and shove it in a deep freezer. We can just kind of do what we've been doing and go to the grocery store once a week. Which is great. That's what we need to be able to do. But it has also, like you said before, you see on those shows, like the couponing shows where they have like stocks of stuff. It does make me think that we were not prepared for any type of disaster, pandemic, anything like that. Like we didn't even have. So I went on Amazon when things started getting crazy, and I did buy medicine for our house, and I did buy a first aid kit. I didn't stock up on those. I just bought, one thing of whatever we needed. But it just made me think if something were to happen, we should have a first aid kit in our house. We should have a flashlight in our house. Those are things that you should just have. But it's also interesting. Another thing that I went to go buy that we don't have is a thermometer. We have a baby thermometer, which is a rectal thermometer, which we only use on Scotty if we would need to. So obviously we're not using that anywhere else, but I couldn't get a regular thermometer like a forehead or an ear thermometer. So we don't have one and they're still sold out. But I don't think that's because people are greedy going out and buying thermometers. I think people are like, oh, I don't have a thermometer, I should buy one. And then everybody does that at the same time, stores sell out, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make people greedy. So that's just my thoughts on it. I think there are people who are greedy. But the general population, I don't think people are like, let me like hoard everything. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. And you make a good point is I think this is good to learn from. I think it's good for everybody to have like a little, survival kit, I guess, in their basement there where they have some. I always did this, and I don't know. I saw like a car accident once, and the person was like stuck in the tree for however long, and they were surviving. And they said, they survived because they had like some peanuts and water in their car or something. So for the longest time, I would always keep like just a little package of peanuts and a bottle of water in my car, just thinking that if my car ever got stuck in a tree or something. But like, it's good, I guess, just for your house to have something in your basement, to have a gallon of water, to have some cans of vegetables, to have a first aid kit, to have some medicine, some Tylenol, because like you never know when a situation like this might happen. So like, and then that prevents everybody running out to the store and buying up everything because it's like, oh, we're good. We have our kit,
our essentials.
Yeah. So I think it's just a good learning lesson. I think none of us were prepared. Or obviously shows that our government wasn't prepared for any of this stuff. The department stores weren't prepared for any of this stuff. But yeah, it's good to know that hopefully the supply chain won't get like affected too much, and they'll still be getting deliveries. There'll still be food on the shelves. So like, if you are holding on to a lot of toilet paper and all this extra crap, we came home and there was a note on our door from our community. That was like a Facebook group, and a lot of people have been sharing this on Facebook that says like, if anybody's in need of anything, please write it in the group or reach out to us. And it's sort of like this community effort of like, hey, we don't have paper towels, and Walmart's out. Yeah. So you ask a neighbor if they can lend something. So like, there's that old phrase of like, you're out of sugar while you're cooking, you go to your neighbor's house and you're like, can I borrow some? Like now more than ever, people should be leaning on other people. And don't be afraid to like give away stuff because you might not have it. So we had a lot of people at our house, and our family came from New York, and they weren't fortunate enough to get toilet paper before it all sold out. We were lucky enough to have gone to Costco before the whole thing broke out, had extra rolls, and we weren't afraid to give out to people. You know, like we had extra and we were comfortable giving it out. So like reach out to family members and say like, hey, are you guys good? Like obviously it's weird, but like if you need toilet paper, let us know. Like people are dropping crazy deuces still because they're eating a lot more food. So ask them if they need toilet paper.
If someone was like, I need toilet paper, I wouldn't be afraid to put it in the mail. Like I would mail it.
Or even just in the neighborhood for someone that you don't know.
No, I think it's really great, like, in your communities, if you have Facebook groups, like, we have a lot for the towns around us, and I'm part of those groups, and a lot have been saying, hey, does anyone know what days this store gets shipments? I need toilet paper, I need paper towel, and some people are like, hey, they're not going to get it in, but I have extra rolls, and that's really nice to see people coming together. I think a lot of people are thinking like everybody's so greedy, and that's what I'm seeing on just like people's Instagrams. The memes are just kind of like nasty and depressing, but in the actual community groups I've seen
it gets a lot of reaction to see, you know, an eBay posting of toilet paper roll for $75. You know, that's going to get a lot of attention. It's going to get a lot of reaction out of people. So that's always the stuff, the glorified stuff that sells. But like you don't see the story of like a neighbor or someone handing out 5 rolls for free because they've got a lot extra. So like we gravitate towards the stuff that is scary, you know, most of the time.
Yeah, it's not that we gravitate towards that. It's like
that's what sells.
I mean, that's what's out there, and that's what people are putting out there. So that's what we're seeing. But I think there's a lot of positive out there too. But there's so many. I mean, I have a couple of friends on Instagram who every day are just posting like depressing things about, and it's just like, I feel like if you live in that space and put that out there, it's just like for your mental health, I feel like it's just so toxic.
Well, a lot of the stuff we see is like empty shelves. Yeah, I did a video going to the supermarket and a lot of it was full.
But there's also a lot of like, yeah, maybe your bread aisle is empty, maybe your eggs are empty, but there's a lot of full stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, you might not be able to get everything you want.
Go on the Corin diet and have Twinkies and Hostess. And
there's a lot of, you know, people can still stay fed. It's not like you can't get food. Yep. And it's like people want to post just the empty shelves and just say everybody's so greedy. But it's like the shelves are empty because people have to feed their families. And normally not everybody's grocery shopping the way we're grocery shopping. The other thing is with restaurants and things being closed and people working from home, people need to get more food. Like normally if you were at work, you wouldn't be eating home every day. You're eating out at lunch. You're eating, like my work has a cafeteria. You're eating at the cafeteria. So it's just everything is shifted. So people are needing to buy more food. I personally am not going to sit here and just think everybody's so greedy. I think there's a way more positivity happening, which is great. So, you know, I feel like we're in a position where we have food, we have what we need. We get milk delivery, so I'm happy for that. I can feed both of our girls.
So what would you say? So are you, and I don't, if people out there, like, I don't know, I think a lot of the times we watch those TV shows and you do see those like special like rooms of like rolls of toilet paper and whatever, I don't know, drinks and all this stuff. Do you think that stuff is necessary for them to be doing that? I think that's
always been their way of life, those people. Those people aren't like, oh my gosh, they've been doing that. That's not like they went out and did it for this day. Or maybe that's why they've been doing it, but they've been doing that. That's not their norm. Yeah. Or that is their norm. Yeah. For anybody that is not your norm, then I think that's greedy to go out and buy 200 rolls of toilet paper for no reason. You're not going to use 200 rolls of toilet paper in a year. Come on, we're not using a roll every other day for a household of 3. I think that's extremely greedy if that were the case. But for people who did that, if you have shelves and shelves of all this stuff, you should be looking at how can you help other people. You know, how can you donate some of your supplies, reach out to your community, hey, I have extra this, I have extra that. I think when you do that, especially in times like this, it says a lot about people. But I don't think they're especially greedy if that's their way of life, if they're extreme couponers and have, you know, stockpiles of stuff. They've just always done that. But I think now if you have stockpiles of stuff would be a good time to reach out for maybe those who can't find toilet paper or can't find what they need to do that. But I think it also, like you said before, like we weren't prepared for this. And it does when we talk about what's in our basement and kind of just all the junk that you accumulate. I would like to have a designated shelf where we have, a Costco size toilet paper, paper towel, water, some canned food, just in case of anything. Obviously, we're not going to stock that now with stuff. Like if we see something at the store, we're not going to be like, oh, let's get it all now. But when the stores get to a place where they have and they're back to fully stocked, like having some soap and all the essentials. But I see that the baby is waking up.
So to recap, I will say from Molly's mind, I think there's a difference between regular hoarding for items that are in your household, and now's a good time to get organized, get rid of a lot of stuff, and just donate, appreciate things that maybe you do necessarily want. If there's a t-shirt I really, really love, keep that. Get rid of a lot of the stuff that doesn't fit. But then in regards to coronavirus hoarding, don't hold on to extra stuff.
Now is not the time to start your stockpile, start that stuff. But when stores return to normal, I think it would be great for everybody to just kind of have, a little bit of extra. Because if things happen again, which I'm sure in our lifetime there's
always going to be something.
There's always going to be something, whether that's natural disaster, pandemic, whatever it is, to make sure that you have what you need for, a week worth of supplies. So I think going forward, when we get to a point where we can stock that, we will.
You heard it here first. Everyone stay safe. Keep doing what you're doing in your houses. Try to stay sane. Quarantine yourselves pretty well. Don't go out and contaminate someone else.
Yeah.
Hoarding. Peace.